Hey everyone, GP here with another EFT video. I'm choosing the subjects simply because of the times we're in and the things that are really heavy on people's hearts and minds these days. And this video I've called Fear of Lack. It's not just the fear of getting sick in the virus, it's the impact it's had on us all economically. The fear that we're going to lose our jobs, and many people may have actually lost their jobs, or at least are very, very reduced in what they're doing, in what their income is. So there's this fear of the potential of lack. Now, the fear of lack is a very interesting thing because it happens very, very, very early on. In our childhood, some things happen in our lives that are mildly or extremely traumatic. When a young child begins to feel unsafe in its own environment, which is inevitable, parents have to discipline us; they have to keep us from hurting ourselves. This happens even with the best of parents. But we get this message that somehow there's this dependency on others, which is actually real, but it invokes in us a fear of lack, that somehow, because the environment isn't treating me like the perfect little gift from God anymore. It's like, no, you can't do that. You can't have that. We're not supposed to do these kinds of things. The normal kind of stuff we have, we get this feeling of suddenly being cut off from the infinite flow of goodness, which is our parents at the time. And this fear of lack begins. I could go without. There's a deep spiritual thing that happens then. I'm not going to go into in this video, but I do in other places. But suffice it to say that fear of lack is one of our most early and deepest senses of our experience. It's one of our first fears. Fear of not being enough is another, or the conviction I am not enough. It comes a little bit later because it comes as a result of this sense of lack. I'm lacking. I could even die. So I'm going to deal with this in the way that I deal with the inner reconciliation energy techniques, which is my particular way of doing EFT. So just follow along. Just if you don't know what the points are, just tap where I tap. I'll say something, you repeat it. It's very, very simple. And stay to the end. Some people want to drop out in the beginning, because in the beginning it can sound pretty negative what I'm going to say. But there's a method to my madness. I'm drawing the unconscious stuff out of the darkness, out of hiding, out of the basement to lay them bare, because we all have this feeling of this fear of lack until it is completely consciously seen through and dissolved out of the energy system. We all have it. So there's no sense in pretending that we don't. Instead, we acknowledge that we do, and then we start to work with it. So that's the process you're going to go through right now. So, you ready? Let's do this. Starting here on the karate chop point, even though I'm terrified of going without, I know I'm lacking. I've always been lacking. There's never quite been enough. And there never will be. And it's worse now. Even so, I love and accept myself just the way I am. Fear and all. So even though lack is real, there's nothing I can do about it. I've tried and tried and tried, but I still always come up on the short end. I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself the way I am. So even though lack is real, this isn't imaginary. I really do lack. I've always been lacking. I'm always going to be lacking. God, I hate saying that. It might get even worse. But whether it does or not, I deeply and completely love and accept myself here and now. Or at least I'm open to. Now, tap with me through the points. If you don't know where they are, just tap where I tap. Lack is real. It's very real. It's even more real now. I am so dependent on others. And right now, others aren't very trustworthy. The world isn't very trustworthy. The world isn't very safe. I could lose my job any moment. I haven't even had a job in a while. Definitely underpaid. Oh, lack is around every corner. Lack is very real. I see it everywhere. I've lacked all my life. I've had some moments of abundance, but they don't last. There's always this fear of lack. I'm really afraid of lack. I keep trying to hide it from myself, pretend to be confident. I'm really afraid of lack. Okay, I'm totally admitting it. There it is, out in the open. I'm terrified I'm going to live on the street. I'm going to take up residence under a bridge. I'm going to be without. Seems almost inevitable. I'm afraid to even think about it. I'm afraid, oh my God, if I think it's going to happen. But it's there anyway. Whether I think it consciously or not, it's still there. So I totally confess. I admit to this fear of lack. I admit that it's a very real thing in my energy system. It's very real to me. I've tried to compensate for it, but I'm just totally admitting it. I am so afraid of lack. I don't know what's going to happen to me. Okay. Stop. Take a deep breath. And just gradually let it out. And as you do, just completely let your body relax. You will undoubtedly feel some energy here. I've done this tapping many, many times, and I've never experienced anyone who didn't feel some kind of energy on this one, because the fear of lack is so deeply rooted in us. And of course, that fear of lack is being amplified. We hear it in commercials, advertising, political speeches, all sorts of things, trying to actually fan the flames of this fear of lack, because then they offer the solution. Oh, vote for me or buy this, and then you won't feel that anymore. That's not true, is it? Okay. But you'll also might feel just kind of a sense of relief. There's always a sense of relief when we honestly admit to the reality of the unconscious fears and beliefs that we all have and are carrying around. The real problem is we fight with them. We resist them. We pretend they're not there. We try to suppress them. And that's where that anxiety, that tension is. Notice how just saying, yes, I'm afraid of lack. There's a certain sense of relief, almost as if there's an opening now. And that's what we're going to take up right this second in this round of the tapping. So, karate chop point. Even though I'm really afraid of lack, I'm open to the possibility that maybe there's not that much to be afraid of. Maybe I'm more afraid than is warranted. Probably not, but I am going to choose to love and accept myself either way. So even though lack is real, and this is probably the way I need to be, I sure am open to less fear. I'm open to the possibility maybe I'm not as lacking as I've believed myself to be. Either way, I love and accept myself just the way I am. So even though lack is real and I'm terrified of it, I'm open to the possibility of not being so terrified of it. And maybe even having a completely different perspective. Maybe not, but I'm choosing to love myself anyway. All right, let's tap through the points. I am so afraid of lack. It looms in my mind. It's this huge image in front of me. I'm so afraid of this image, this picture of lack. But am I actually lacking right now? Am I really in lack right now? Well, kinda. I mean, I might be, but am I actually in lack right this minute? Yeah, but I could be in the future. But am I right now? Yeah, I know I have to plan for the future, but do I have to always expect the worst? I wonder if this fear is more habitual than real. Of course, there's always some truth to it. I mean, I could have a problem in a bit. Things can be more tense now than they were before. But I'm so terrified. I wonder if this terror is a little extreme. I wonder if I can have a bit more balance. I wonder if I can be less afraid and more wise. And I don't want to be foolish. But what if a lot of this fear is actually just an unconscious pattern? Something I learned a long time ago that isn't really true now. Yeah, the world's not in great shape, but that doesn't mean I have to be terrified of lack. Maybe I'm projecting more than I realize. Maybe more of this is in my mind than actually in my experience. If that's true, and I can experience less fear of lack, I want that. Maybe it's not true, and I do have to be afraid. But if it is true, I want to know it. All right, stop. Take a nice deep breath. And just kind of check in with yourself and that fear of lack, fear of things going wrong. Seem more or less true? Does it have more or less bite to it? Notice we didn't argue with it. We're just opening the nervous system to take a look. You know, when you're young, your world is this big. And if there's a certain kind of danger or threat in that world, our young little nervous systems assume that this is the way it always is and always will be. And so what we're doing now is we're expanding the environment. We're actually creating an inner environment of safety. And in so doing, the nervous system itself, which is highly adaptable, begins to go, oh, maybe it's not true, because the environment is shifting. That's the whole energy and power behind inner reconciliation, is that it creates an increasingly safe space. And tapping, to me, communicates through touch, I'm safe. So even though you're voicing something that may sound very negative, simultaneously your nervous system's getting a very different message. Namely, I'm safe, I'm safe. Terrified of fear, I'm safe. I'm terrified of lack, I'm safe, I'm safe. Notice that it's a shift in the environment. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do another round, and we're really going to open up the nervous system to take a look. I mean, if we looked at it from the point of view of like the power of now, are you in this moment actually lacking? Your mind says, yeah, well, I don't have this, and this. Yeah, there's all sorts of things we'd love to have and we'd want. But really, when it comes down to it, is the feeling of lack right here and in this moment actually real and legitimate? Or is it an anticipation that we've all just been trained into in the mind? So, karate chop point. Even though I'm terrified of lack, I am open to the possibility that I may not be in as much danger as I thought I was. So even though that fear of lack is there, and an anticipation of lack is there, maybe I'm making more of this than it really is. Even though I do have to be cautious, do have to make plans, maybe things are better than I think they are. Maybe a lot of this is a projection from the past. Either way, I really want to know what the truth is. All right, tap with me through the points. Lack is very real, right? Well, yes, the possibility is. It is possible to experience lack at times. But if I ever really gone without luxuries, yeah. Some times that were tight. But have I really ever been in dire lack? Yeah, there were times where it really, really hard. But was I really in lack? Am I really in lack now? I recognize that there's this underlying assumption of lack, that it's always going to be there. And these assumptions really do affect my perceptions. I can be afraid of the thought of lack, feel fear, when in fact I'm not lacking, when everything is okay right now. Maybe I am living hand to mouth, but I'm living. Am I really in lack right now? I know I have to plan for the future, but do I need to fear it? Perhaps I have been creating my own fear. Yes, the image of lack is very strong in my mind. And I've been focusing all my attention on it. Maybe I've just been taking in nothing but that evidence. even trained my nervous system to look for that. So I'm now instructing my nervous system to open up energetically, to not be so sure we're in lack, to put my attention on things other than the picture of lack. I'm inviting it to notice evidence of abundance, or at least okayness. I'm inviting my nervous system to really look past the assumption of lack. Not a denial if there is lack, but to see through the assumption of lack. I know my nervous system can do this. It's extremely smart, extremely powerful. It's been protecting me constantly. Well, I want to know the truth. And I know it can show me the truth. Thank you for taking care of me now. And I know you can do this for me. Thank you. I love you. All right, take another deep breath. And just check in with that sense of lack. And please do notice the way I do EFT, because I've just found it, and many people have told me it's the most effective approach to EFT they've ever seen. And there's really good people out there, and I know some of them. They're really good. So I take that as quite an honor when people say that. But I think what it is that I never have any intention whatsoever to try to fix or change or correct the nervous system, the energy system, our perceptions. I invite it to take a look for itself and see for itself. And I facilitate that by creating a space of inner safety, so that the nervous system, which can get really locked in very old assumptions that it can't question, suddenly on its own begins to question the assumption. Very naturally, very energetically. And don't be surprised if some really amazing things come up. Incidents from your childhood where something happened and suddenly you just get this deep fear of lack got instilled with you. Events from past lives, right? I don't do past life regressions or stuff, but some stuff has come up during these sessions. I have to go, well, okay, there it is. So do this often, and try doing it for yourself as well. And there's a link here for all sorts of additional workshops that I have. There's a whole series I call Totally Tapped In, which are a series of 6 2-hour workshops on all sorts of different subjects. You can get a collection of stuff, and I am going to be doing some coach training in the not too distant future. So I'll be doing it regularly. So even though this video will get old, I will be continuing to do the kind of coach training. So until then, everyone, until the next video, I love you all. Namaste and tap on.